Get your St. Louis MMA fix at knucklejunkies.com.
This video is sponsored by Brad Carey with Realty Executives Premier. If you're looking to buy or sell your home, call Brad Carey.
Okay, welcome to the Zach Freeman Q&A here at knucklejunkies.com. I'll be your host, Brett Auten, editor-in-chief at knucklejunkies.com. And tonight we'll have a one-on-one via the wonders of Skype to our very own Zach Freeman, who is in Chicago, Illinois. Zach, thanks for taking the time to stop in and get this worked out.
Hey, always thank you to you guys. You guys, help get me out there, so I appreciate you. So thank you.
So in Chicago, obviously for work reasons, and do some training while you're there as well, or you're leaving tomorrow?
Yep, I'm in the commercial furniture business, so I sell floor-to-ceiling demountable wall systems. It's kind of like right now in the office environment, the glass walls are like the really popular thing. So I do essentially pre-manufactured construction. So we kind of replace drywall. And I'm a business development manager for that. So I travel across, the states, Midwest territories mainly. But we have an office in Kansas City, Columbia, and St. Louis, Missouri, and I head up the sales for that division for our company.
Well, the reason we're talking with Zach tonight is obviously because on June 24th in New York City, Zach will kick off the main card of Bellator NYC, the Bellator's second foray, I believe, into pay-per-view. Zach will be bringing his 8-2 record on against Aaron Pico. Many of you know Aaron Pico is a highly decorated prospect. Will be making his MMA debut in this fight, and we've got time to get with that. And obviously, we'll dig into that. But as we kind of let things build here a little bit on our show. Let's dial things back a little bit, Zach, to Shamrock FC 290. It wasn't a couple of weeks ago, if that. You were there in working the corner for Frank Sloan, and I know a teammate of yours, Adam Meredith, was in the main event. Both those guys kind of came up on the wrong end of things. But what was kind of your takeaway from both those fights?
Well, Shamrock put on a good show, man. You can't win them all. So we go in there always to do our best, just like every gym. And we came up short that night. So, Frank's a beast, man. He's an animal. Even after the fight, he just said he just didn't feel right that night. And that happens. It's happened to me. It's happened to some of the best fighters, that have ever fought. So, he fought Garrett Gross, and I feel like he didn't his stand up. He didn't bring his stand up with him that night, and Garrett did. Man, Garrett looked really good. He found his range really well, and he found some good shots against Frank. So there's kind of a weird moment where Frank definitely dominated the first round. Garrett came back, landed an uppercut on Frank, and he dropped Frank and got on top of Frank, landed some good elbows, good punches, good ground and pound, and he got up. He stood up, and Frank, I think, thought that the ref was going to stand him up or Garrett was going to let him up. And if you go back and watch the fight, Frank's getting ready to get up, and Garrett just sneaks in a huge uppercut and lands right in his eyeball. And Frank would have fought, man. After the fight, he's like, I totally would have kept fighting. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because his eye was pretty messed up. So, Garrett came away with the fight, and hats off to him. The other fight, remind me of the young man's name that beat Adam.
Shell Irwin Davis.
Shell Davis, yeah. He's got some good wins under his belt already. I think Engel and Adam
So,
Self, and now Adam Meredith. And Meredith's no punk, you know. He's a couple stripe purple belt at our gym, and that's not easy to attain. And he got triangled in the first round, unfortunately. I feel like his head wasn't there either, you know. It just wasn't our night. So no excuses. But I feel like Adam is kind of in a point in his life he's got to decide, you know, what's he want to do, you know. And I think deep down he wants to fight. I think he has amazing capability, amazing talents. He's just got to decide, you know, he's a family man. He's got a couple kids. He's just got to decide what's best for him and his family. And I hope he decides. I hope that comes to him. And either way, we're always proud of him. And he's had some great fights and great memories. So I support him either way.
Well, speaking of great fights and great memories, let's kind of dig into the Zach Freeman fightology here a little bit. Now, I'm not going to go too deep. Got to bring out the glasses for everything. But okay, so you went pro around 2011, right? Does that sound right?
Yeah, 2011.
Now, the first time I remembered seeing you fight, or at least it being a big deal, was the Bryant Whitaker choke from hell at the Fight Hard.
Yeah, that was a good one. So you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, do you remember anything about it or anything like that?
I remember it exactly.
It was the main event, right, at Fight Hard?
Yep. Well, actually, you know what's weird? Most of my fights have been main events. I think I have 15 fights now, and I'd say probably 12 of the 15 have been main events. So I've always been a main event fighter. But I specifically remember that because he was a up-and-coming prospect, and I think he was 3-0. I think I was like 3-0 or 4-0. And I remember I just popped him with a jab right off the bat, and he did not like it. And he immediately shot in on me, and I stuffed his head, and he transitioned to a single leg. And when he tried to single leg me, I whizzered, and I missed, and I caught his neck. And I was actually on at Labs last week in Austin, and the gentleman was working on the same exact choke. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. I've actually used this. So essentially I whizzered in under the neck and stuffed the head back down. And it's almost like a rear naked from the front. And, man, I choked the life out of him. He was out immediately. And he's actually, man, he went on like an 8-fight win streak after that. And he just lost this last weekend. So hats off to him for coming back and getting so many wins under his belt after a tough loss. And hopefully he's back up fighting again.
Yeah, man, I just remembered like I said, just the violence of that choke was like, was he out? Did he like crumble? Was it one of those kind of things when you let go of the choke?
Yeah, so a lot of times when you do choke someone out, you don't know it for a second. So I didn't know he was out, but the ref did, Mike England, and he immediately went to go grab him, and I let go, and Mike like pushed him away from me, and he just like fell back. So it's kind of like violent the way he even fell back. But he's a tough guy, and he's had a great career since. So hopefully he gets back up on the pedestal.
So that was 2012, and then so you went on and you ran through Sharon, Spain for Rumble Time, but then you came back against Aaron Darrow for Rumble Time, and I believe that was the fight that afterwards you talked about how that was the fight you were looking for. Is it something a little more? Because you had lots of quick early exits, and you kind of had a little bit of a dogfight that you were looking for.
Yeah, I've always had, up to that point in my career, I had a lot of first-round finishes. And when you're a fighter and you're starting to climb the ranks and becoming a prospect, those first-round finishes don't do you much justice or they don't build much experience for you. You know, you want to have that experience to go deep in the rounds, so that when you're in that tough fight, you know how to dig deep and keep going. So I'd say, dude, Darrow is one of the tougher guys I've ever fought. I knocked him out twice in that fight. I specifically remember knocking him out and him just like snapping right back too. The first was with an elbow, and then actually the first was with I took him down, had side control, he bellied out to his knees, and I just laid like 10 punches on him, and one snuck through. And I remember him going right out, but I did not stop punching, and I punched him right back awake, and he just kept fighting. And then later, I think in the second round, I hit him with a really mean elbow, and he like was unconscious, fell into me, and I took him to the ground, and he woke back up. I mean, that dude's tough. He runs Brass Boxing out in KC now, so I actually want to go out and visit him when I'm out there in KC. I haven't had the chance to yet.
Wasn't his nickname like Daddy Longlegs or something? Was that him?
Yeah, he choked out Rich Clemente. That was kind of his big win at one point on I don't remember what show it was, but he was losing the fight almost all 3 rounds. But again, he's tough, man. He kind of took a beating, and then Rich slipped into a triangle and he choked him out. So, you know, he's a tough guy.
So you had Darrow in July of 2012, and then you kick off the year with Robert Washington at Fight Hard. You know, one of the better fights in as far as local talent. You know, local fighters versus local fighters that has come across here in some time. You know, you and Robert. You know, it was a great. It was a great matchup, not only skill wise, but then, you know, he kind of threw in the little gym rivalry, and you know, and you guys were both big names at that time, and man, you guys both delivered.
Yeah, we did. And what's funny is, like, a lot of people don't know, me and Rob, you know, we've trained numerous times together, and sometimes that, you know, it makes for a more boring fight, but it didn't. You know, that was an exciting fight. It was a money fight more than anything. I think we got offered a nice sum of money. Fight Hard always takes care of their fighters more so than the other organizations. So we both, you know, we wanted not only the championship, but the money was good. So we both definitely were like, yeah, let's do it. And I remember, man, I swear I landed knees on that guy, and like they never hurt him. So he's tough, man. I remember getting punched by him. I don't think my head's ever hurt so bad after a fight. I mean, that guy hits hard. So
no,
he still comes in every once in a while. So.
Well, that's what I mean. Even leading up to that fight, I mean, you guys had Sunday Fun Day practices against each other. Was there, you know, anything different that night in the cage that you never saw or felt, or
you know what?
Practice?
Well, yeah, I remember him leading to the body several times, and he knocked the wind out of me a couple times, and it like pissed me off. I was like, little sucker. He's never gone low like that right away. So he always had great boxing and movement, and I think I remember after talking to him about that fight, he's like, man, I wish I would have tried to wrestle you more, because he never like tried to take me down. And I remember him telling me he just wishes he would have tried to wrestle a little more. And I agree, he's a good wrestler, and he's tough when he's on top. He's hard to get away from. So I took advantage of the wrestling in that fight, and it paid off for me, you know.
Well,
hats off to Rob. You know, he's became like a motivational speaker, and he's a stand-up guy, man. He's got 2 master's degrees, came from the east side. He's like he's your definition of success, coming from a kind of rougher spot in life. You know, he's got a beautiful house, an in-ground pool. He's got 5 boys. I don't know how he does it. He's in trouble. That's all I know.
And so you were 7-0, you know, and like 5 months later, you know, you get the opportunity to fight Jake Lindsey at Titan.
Before that was the Ultimate Fighter tryouts, and
after the Washington fight.
Yeah, and I actually, you know, I got really far, and politics play a huge role in getting on the Ultimate Fighter. Justin Lawrence, he had, you know, some political ties, and that helped him get on the show. I had nothing, and I literally flew myself to Vegas with my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, Kathleen. And I remember I tried out. I grappled Jared Carlson from 10th Planet Hollywood. He's the black belt instructor there. And I beat him on points. And I got through the first round. I hit pads. And I remember Joe Silva, the matchmaker? What's his name?
Yep, Joe Silva.
Joe Silva came up to me and he goes, Zach, you're good. You're on to the next round. Go sit down. So then I went and did an interview, and I felt like they liked me. They kind of liked some of my backstory. They liked my nickname. And I got a call a month later, to fly back out to Vegas to do all my medical testing and to kind of take that next step. So I flew out to Vegas. You know, all the guys were there. I think they flew 70 guys out, and they cut 30 that week. And 40 guys go to the Fox Studios video photo shoot. And I didn't get the call, so I thought I was cut. And I kid you not, I remember going to a place called Herbs and Rye. My friend Josh Fowler, who lives in Vegas, took me to Herbs and Rye. And he got me this really strong Manhattan and ordered a steak. And we're eating, and I'm drinking this drink, and all of a sudden, Mike Campbell out of Massachusetts up in the Northeast, he was a CES fighter. Mike Campbell calls me, and he's like, Zach, what are you doing, man? The bus is waiting on you. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, man, we're going to the Fox Studios, and you're supposed to be here. I'm like, they never called me. He's like, well, we're waiting on you. So I had to chug my drink. You know, this is a strong Manhattan.
Yeah, exactly.
Whiskey. So I chugged it. I didn't want to waste it. It was like a $15 drink. And my friend rode me to Texas Station real quick. It was only down the street. And I jumped on the bus. And, man, I remember being at the photo video shoot doing, like, push-ups and sit-ups. And I am the Ultimate Fighter and all this. And I was, like, buzzed up as hell, man. I kid you not. Because I was not expecting I thought I was cut. And so 40 guys do that, and 32 out of the 40 actually get to fight to get in the house, and the other 8 are what they call the alternates.
Yeah.
So I was an alternate on that season, but I made it really far all by myself. So,
right.
You know, so that was my opportunity to get on Ultimate Fighter, and that fell through, which now brings us to what you were talking about, the Titan fight with Jake Lindsey.
Right. And just, I mean, how, you know, obviously you'd been through a lot with the tryout process, and I mean, but entering that fight, well, you know, how's your mindset and all that, and then, you know, obviously take us through. It was a short night, unfortunately for you.
Yeah, it was. You know, I don't know. I wasn't there in my head that night. I wasn't. You know, when you train your hardest and you do everything right and you look back and you say, man, I couldn't have done anything else more. I couldn't have trained any harder. I couldn't have dieted any better. You know, I didn't cheat. I didn't drink. I didn't do this or that. That's when you can fight your best. And I'd say for that fight, I cheated a little bit. I didn't do everything right. So it leaves you kind of in a half-assed mental state. You know, it doesn't put you at your peak, you know, because you have to believe in yourself. And I'd say I had some doubts in myself that fight. But not going to take anything away from Jake. That guy's a beast, man. He's Aaron Highfield's last loss. You know, Highfield's been on a tear But he's a beast, man. He doesn't look like shit. I remember when he weighed in, I was like, I'm gonna beat the brakes off this guy. You know, he just wasn't muscular. He just didn't look very tough. But I'll tell you what, and he was tough. He was tough. So he was really good in the clinch, and he made me uncomfortable. I tried to throw a big overhand right, which was silly on my part. And it's hard to see in the video, but he sneaks in an uppercut, and it rung my bell and put me on Queer Street. And once I was on Queer Street, I was just trying to survive. And he kept chopping away and got me against the cage and just landed a really simple little overhand right that caught me in the temple. And it knocked me down, and it pretty much, you know, TKO'd me, so it sucked. I don't want that to happen again. I know that.
Well, we have a question coming in from
is this
one of
the
our
first?
viewers.
Is this the first question?
Maybe, could be,
All
but
right.
want to know the story behind the nickname.
Oh, really? That's a good question. I like to tell that. So.
The Altar, as some of you don't know, Zach's known as the Altar Boy, Freeman, and kind of even his walkout has almost a churchy feel to it. So yeah, so where did the Altar Boy come from?
So I was weighing in for a Shamrock FC fight. It was my second amateur fight, and Tony Biondo didn't really know me at the time, and he walks up to me. I'm just sitting down by myself, and he walks up to me and he goes, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "I'm weighing in." And he's like, "You fight?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You look more like an altar boy than a fighter." And he was like, "That's a great nickname, man. I'm telling you, that's your nickname. You should go with that." I was like, well, funny as it is, I actually was an altar boy. I went to Catholic school, so I actually didn't like the idea of that being my nickname. And I remember the next night, I'm walking out, and he calls me the altar boy, and I was like, what the hell? I can't believe this guy did that. And
he did it without
my approval. He loved it, so he was going with it. He didn't give a shit, and he. Calls me the altar boy, Zach Freeman. And I specifically remember walking out and thinking, oh, my God, there was people, everyone was laughing at my nickname. They were laughing at the nickname. So I was like, man, I better beat the brakes off this guy, and I did. So I ended up finishing the guy with TKO. And
you never thought about changing it?
No. Yeah, I'm going to stick with it, The altar man.
No, I mean, even back then, when it got handed down to you, you're like, well, I won. I guess I'll just roll with it.
Yeah, because one thing about it is it's unique. No one really has that nickname. It's not like the Terminator or, I could say a bunch, but I don't want to offend anybody. But the reality is that, some nicknames are just kind of, they don't stick. Mine, it's memorable. People hear that and they're like, tell me the story behind that. It becomes a conversation piece, and I kind of roll with it. So it is what it is, So thank you for the question. I hope I get some more. Give me some questions. Give us some questions.
So you get back on the winning track though. You took a short notice fight for Rumble Time. And you get a win again. But then the last kind of meaningful fight was here locally for the RFA lightweight title. Again, kind of similar to the fight that we're getting ready to talk about. But it seemed like all of a sudden, you were focused on, your jiu-jitsu. It seemed more and doing grappling, and then just out of the blue, boom! Here's Freeman fighting for the RFA lightweight title.
I know, man. I wish I could have that fight back. I don't relish on it, but it was a great opportunity. Thanks to Patrick Smith for recommending me the opportunity. I was in Denver at the time, and he called and he was like, "What do you think about this?" And I was like, "Well, hell yeah!" I didn't look the guy up. I didn't care. Is that you?
I didn't say anything.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so he offered me that fight, and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And that kid was tough, man. He was really tough. He hit really hard, and he had great timing. A lot of people don't know that, in the first round, I believe I slightly fractured my hand, and in the second round, without a doubt, I compound fractured it. It was a really bad break. It actually required surgery. So the beginning, I actually won the first round on all the judges' scorecards. In the second round, third, fourth, fifth, I lost. I got beat on. But in the second, about a minute in, I felt it break really bad on his head. And I kind of caught the crown of his head. And I definitely felt it break. And I just kind of lost all that adrenaline. I could feel it, as well as I had no strength I had no grip strength. Actually, I remember doing it right in my corner, and I looked down and I screamed to Mike Rogers and Jeff Henry. I screamed to him, I broke my effing hand. I was like pissed, I was like, I broke my hand, and he was like a Brazilian, so he didn't understand what I was saying. But after the second round was over, I went immediately over to Pat Miletich and remind me of the other gentleman's name. Michael Chiavello.
Yeah.
So I went over those two, and I screamed, I broke my hand, and they couldn't hear me. They had on their their headsets, and pretty much the whole fight went on. And I was really proud of myself. I watched that fight, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't even tell I had a broken hand. You couldn't tell I was really injured, besides the fact that I wasn't throwing my right hand or trying to throw any. I was actually trying to throw elbows from out of the pocket.
Yeah.
So it was just tough, man. I survived. I even, almost put him in an omoplata. In the fifth round, I actually started off with a takedown and almost took his back.
Right.
I couldn't pull it together, man. I lost my gusto in that. I stayed alive though, and he set the record for most title defenses, and I don't hang my head in that fight. I learned a lot about myself, which is not only can I fight for 5 rounds, I can fight for 5 rounds with one hand against top level guys. So I think you'll see him in the UFC soon.
Okay. Well, hey, we got one more question from the gallery, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Keep those coming. So Robert C. asks, what are the first few steps you recommend for a fighter starting out?
That's a good question, Robert. What I would do, you got it. Nunchucks, Taekwondo, karate, and what I would do is I would definitely, work all your aspects of the game. A lot of guys get caught being a striker or being caught being a wrestler or jiu-jitsu guy. Even myself, I wish I'd have worked a little more on my striking early on and kind of embraced it more. I think the best recommendation I can give is find time. If you train 5 days out of 7 or 6 out of 7, break those days up and focus on certain things. 2 of the days, really make sure you're doing a lot of striking. A couple of those days, make sure you're training in a gi, doing jiu-jitsu, doing no-gi. And a couple of those days, try to catch a local high school wrestling practice or, build a wrestling foundation. I think that's one of the strongest foundations you can have in fighting, which is why my opponent's so highly touted, his wrestling ability. But let me tell you, wrestling is different than MMA wrestling. Once you add punches and kicks, you can take anybody down. I don't care how good a wrestler they are. So I would say definitely focus a little on each area, and then eat right and sleep right. Your diet is the most important thing in being an athlete. My sister, the Nutrition Vixen, you can look her up, nutritionvixen.com. She has amazing recipes that are free on her website, no cost at all. I think for $30, she's selling something called the 21-day metabolic makeover. You'll see that on all my, she's a sponsor of mine. So this 21-day makeover does is it will, a lot of people think that, all these whole foods are healthy for you. But what you have to understand is that everyone's body processes food differently. So me in particular, I found out that I'm intolerant to oats. I am intolerant to rice. I am intolerant to eggplant. What else am I intolerant to? Either way, these things, when I eat them, my body actually has negative effects from them. And everyone thinks that, brown rice is healthy, and I love baba ganoush and,
Right.
Oats, whole oats. All these things are healthy, but what people don't realize is that everyone's body breaks down proteins differently. And my sister does this thing called the Pinner test, and then she also gives you those foods you're intolerant to. So, these foods I was doing in my diet were actually causing me to hold on to water weight, causing inflammation, joint pains. So, like my wife, we found out she's intolerant to spinach. She would eat that almost every day, and it would cause bloating and inflammation and would cause all these things because who wouldn't eat spinach? You think it's healthy for you. So my sister's doing this metabolic makeover that essentially finds your food intolerances and then builds a diet around that essentially helps kickstart your metabolism, which is everything. Everyone skips breakfast, which is the most important meal of the day. That's what kind of generates your metabolism. And if you skip breakfast and you eat lunch, now your body's going to want to store that food instead of burn it. So I've lost 25 pounds in the last 7 weeks just by eating more food regularly. So I'd say diet is that next important thing. And then last of all, I'll get off the subject, but to answer his question, is sleep. I need to do a better job at that. You should really try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. I'm more like a 6-hour sleeper, but that's a very important thing to get rest for your brain and for your body. So I hope that answers your question, Robert.
Now, Zach, would you like to encourage? I'd like to see like more amateur fighters, embrace that flexibility to be able to go do boxing, kickboxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu tournaments. Just to get their feet wet in all those areas, like in competition.
Oh, no doubt. And I guess one guy that made me think of right away is like Luis Pena. Look at him. He took a fight against.
Yeah.
Remind me, who was that boxing match?
He's got one coming up. He just took, right?
I know, against this Jarvis Williams kid or something, 7-0, and he just fought one of the top, local boxers. I can't remember his name. Vaughn, I think, Alexander Vaughn or something. But either way, he's taking boxing matches and he's going to jiu-jitsu tournaments and he's doing, MMA fights. So he's really rounding out his game. He's not caring about losses and wins. He's challenging himself. So hats off to Luis for doing that. I think I try not to be too cautious, but I think that's also being smart. I'm a little older. I'm not as young as some of these guys, so I have to be cautious in some of the choices I make. But I think rounding out your game is definitely on, to your point, Brett, that's a definitely strong suit.
Especially as an amateur, you really don't have that much to lose, Now, it's one thing Luis is out there doing it as a pro,
Yeah.
but, Hey, we got another question from the gallery. Keep those coming. But John M. wants to know Well, Zach, do you plan on shaving your hair?
I love this question. After watching my RFA fight against Tiago, my hands were in my hair all match. I kept brushing my hair back, and
it drives my wife nuts when fighters do that.
I'm sure it drives my family, it drives my wife. All my friends were like, cornrow your freaking hair, They were like, you were messing with your hair the whole fight. I kept, moving my head and then going like this. And he kept catching me over the top a couple times. But in the middle of the fight, you're not thinking about that. My hand was broke. I couldn't think clear. But I definitely will cornrow my hair up in New York. There should be plenty of stylists who know how to do that. And if I cannot find one, I will shave my head.
Excellent.
It's hard for me. I love my hair. It's part of my gig.
Well, yeah. So let's get into the reason why we're all here. June 24th, Bellator NYC. You have Chael Sonnen and Wanderlei Silva, Fedor versus Matt Mitrione. The Bellator welterweight titles up for grabs. St. Louis's own, Northwestern zone, or Northwest zone, Michael Chandler, lightweight title. And you, Zach Freeman, lead off everything against Aaron Pico, Madison Square Garden, here on June 21st, pay-per-view. I mean, is it still kind of a pinch-yourself moment? And I'm sure Fight Week itself is going to be a pretty surreal moment walking around. Like I said, not only with those fighters of those status, but in that venue and in that city.
Yeah. What I've noticed is that, I don't self-promote a lot. I'm in the professional business world, and, people don't really look at that fighting as like a very respectful thing, to be honest. But I'll tell you what, I've been really self-promoting myself. And, a huge thank to all my sponsors, which I'll get to at some point if you don't mind. But I'll tell you what, man, when you tell people that you're fighting at Madison Square Garden, people take you serious. They're like, they almost do like a double take, So, yeah, it's starting to become surreal for sure. But next week, when I'm doing all the media, I'm doing the open workouts in front of people, that's when it's really going to hit me. I'm like, wow, man, I'm at the top I'm in the major leagues now. So I like to say not bad for a sales guy,
Now, are you planning a kind of a plan of attack? Because you're going to be asked a lot of questions, and a lot of them are going to be kind of the same questions. Do you have a kind of a plan of attack on how you're going to present yourself, for lack of a better word?
I publicly speak for a living in a way. I go to a lot of architecture and design firms, and I speak to people I don't know. I get up in front of these people and I talk for an hour, make them laugh and make them feel good, and I build trust. And what my hopes is that, I hope I interview very well, and I hope that Bellator almost sees me like, hey, this guy can be an asset. I feel like I present myself well. I think I think they'll want to use me as an asset to their organization. That's my goal, is to win or lose, is to be someone that they want to represent their company. And I held out so long for UFC, but this was an opportunity I had to go with. I'm 33 now, and I think we skipped around, but there was a lot of time in between that Jake Lindsey fight and the fight against that Zach gentleman, which was my ninth fight. And pretty much after that loss to Jake, man, it was hard. He got signed to the UFC off that fight. The president of Titan came up to me in the elevator and goes, "The winner's going to get signed tomorrow to the UFC." And I was like, way to freaking tell me that right before the fight, which that guy was kind of a joke anyway. He bounced a check to me twice, and
who's that?
Made sure he went on. Joe Kelly was his name.
Oh.
The guy was, he bounced a check to me twice, and then made sure that he was on vacation and was like, "Oh, I'll pay you when I get back." Like, that's a joke. A fighter should get paid the night of the fight. The work I put in, dude, I've lost money fighting. So, that guy's a joke. He's not the owner of Titan anymore. The gentleman who does own Titan, he seems a more stand-up guy. They canceled on me again, and they paid all the fighters except me, and I publicly announced that. And they reached out to me and paid me just my show money. I feel like I should have got paid my show and win money. I didn't get the chance to fight, but they at least called me and paid me. So hats off to the Titan organization now, which I think is now called the Professional Fight League, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not sure I'm not sure if it's Titan still. A little confused because Brian Foster's fighting, or maybe it's World Series I'm thinking of. But the guy
World Series
Titan
is switching the name after this year.
You got it. So whoever owns Titan, though, they paid up and they're stand up. So thank you to Titan for doing that.
All right, we have a question from the fans. First off, one of your friends from Panama sends his support. So you got some fans down in Panama. And Crystal R asks, are you preparing like you would for a normal fight? Anything special you're focusing on and plans for after this matchup?
Thank you for the question, Crystal. I would say right now I'm heavily focused on my movement and my boxing, my head movement. I'm kind of one of those fighters. I just get in your face and I'm like, punch me, I'm going to punch you back. I'll take some damage and deliver some. So I've been working on more movement, getting in and out, thanks to Jeff Henry, my coach. And I've also really been working my jiu-jitsu game. I feel like I can sub this guy, and my wrestling. I've been working my wrestling. So I've been, a lot of people think you prepare for a certain fighter, man, but until you really get to that level in fighting, I think it takes, experience to learn it. But in that fight, the fight's really against yourself. It's not against an opponent, And even in the cage, in that moment, you're fighting somebody, but you're more fighting yourself. You're fighting, are you going to quit? Are you going to move? Are you going to set this up? Are you going to do what you practice? It becomes this like mental battle in the cage. So that's with experience. That's where he doesn't have that experience, and I do, So I'm hoping to take advantage of my experience and really make him pay. And what was the other part of her question? I'm sorry.
What are your plans after the fight? After this fight, what's
Well, immediately following, hoping for a couple days off. I've been working my butt off, as well as training, balancing all that. My days start early and end very late, and then when you add travel into that, it's almost 9 o'clock. I'm gonna be packing my bags for tomorrow to fly out. So I'm gonna be up till probably 11, and I still have to go get a run in tonight. So it's tough, but I imagine I'm gonna take a little time off. I'm hoping to celebrate my win and my newfound stardom, and I think I'll make a name overnight if I beat Aaron, when I beat Aaron, and I hope to take my second fight for Bellator. They signed me to a 4-fight deal.
nice?
Of course, in any contract, they can always option out of the contract and release me. But my goal is to put on a performance, and again, like I said earlier, to represent myself in interviews and my appearance, just who I am as an individual. I hope that Bellator sees me as an asset and wants to keep me around.
So, you're kind of looking at this as a job interview for Bellator as well, right? Sounds like.
You got it. Finally making some money thanks to my great sponsors. I'm getting 10,000 to show up, and I'll get another 10 if I win, which really isn't a lot of money. What it takes. And I only talk about that because it is public information. It gets released. I'm not, hiding it. But I like to mention it because it's actually going to cost me almost $10,000 to do this fight. After you take out taxes and you take out travel expenses, flying up my people, hotel, the food, and things while you're there. My medicals alone were $2,500. I literally spent almost $10,000 to perform for this fight. So really, I'm not making any money if I lose. So thank God for my amazing sponsors. But that's why I'm going to win, so I can make a little extra pocket change. That'd be nice. I deserve my wife, Kathleen. I love you. Thank you for being there for me and just staying by my side and allowing me to work out of town and be gone so much and train. You put up with a lot. So I hope to take you on your honeymoon finally. You deserve it.
Now you mentioned Jeff Henry. Is he the one that's kind of hatching the game plan for this fight? And what do you like Jeff, and what does he bring to the table?
Jeff is Jeff is the type of guy that he can watch anything and pick it up, and he's been a hockey coach. I'm a huge respect to hockey players. I truly think it's one of the tougher sports out there. It requires a ton of skill, coordination, agility, toughness, mental toughness, and he taught hockey and played hockey. So to see that he transitioned that into fighting, and he's not only a great physical coach, he studies things, he really learns things, he brings a new view. He then also is kind of my mental coach. He knows how to prepare you that, hey, you're a champ, you deserve this, you're going to win this fight. You need that in your corner.
Right.
But he's also a spiritual coach to me. He's a mentor to me. He's everything I could ever ask for a coach, man. I'm so thankful for Jeff. So thank you, Jeff.
Well, and because of your job and traveling, we've seen you've trained in Austin and in Denver and all over the place. I mean, just what's that been like? Chicago, right? You've trained up there some. I mean,
it's been awesome. Yeah, it's been awesome. Just getting to go to different gyms. I've been to gyms in Mexico City, all the way to Florida, to McAllen, Texas, to Austin, to Dallas. Pretty much wherever I travel, I end up training. More specifically, I've been training out in Fort Collins in Colorado, and I've been training with the team Trials. It's called Trials Mixed Martial Arts. They're in Fort Collins. They got some great guys. The first night I was there, it reminded me like being at St. Charles MMA. It was just down-to-earth guys. I know sometimes people don't think we are, but we're good people. And, Mike's a good guy, our head coach. And I literally felt like I was at my home gym. So it's kind of my home gym away from my home gym. And it's led there by Jared Hardy, great guy, welcomed me with open arms. And more specifically, Ryan the Lion Schultz. He was the IFL champion. He's who famously knocked out Chris Horodecki. The guy is he's an amazing coach, mentor. He knows how to build you up. He knows how to coach you. He knows how to push you. So I'll actually be training there Thursday night, and I really look forward to getting my last night in there. We usually do like a team practice at 7:30 till 9, and he pushes us hard. So that'll be one of my more last hard practices. So I look forward to sharing that with you guys out at Team Trials. Thank you, guys.
Now, have you, obviously all this work you've had to do since the fight was announced and everything. I mean, And instead of dwelling on the negative, have you just kind of turned it around and made it a positive? And okay, well, if I got to be on the road, well, I'll find the On It gym in Austin, or I'll hook up with these guys in Colorado. I'll do what I can, kind of situation, instead of sitting there and kind of bemoaning your situation.
Yeah, I'm embracing it. And actually, you know what I learned, Brett, is that it's actually been beneficial, because when you go to a gym that you've never been to, and all of a sudden there's this guy who shows up to your gym, dude, they Shark Tank you. Like.
Well, did a lot of people know who you were and that you had this fight coming up? I mean, did you let people know?
I do, and it just puts a little pressure on them, and they kind of want to push you. So, if anything, it makes it a more tougher practice and more tougher training. So. I think it's actually been a good thing for me. I really do.
We'll get back to Bellator NYC here in a moment, but we got asked a question about a Cauliflowers reunion. Now, for some of you don't know, there was a band a few years ago of local fighters, and myself included. We all got together for. Well, it was going to be a one-off gig, I believe, for Mike Rogers' birthday. Actually, kind of turned into a couple of gigs, as well as playing out some out at Cage Champs. And through Sanchez's success in the RFA, the Cauliflowers were able to get some plug on Access TV a little bit too.
Yeah, that was cool. But like Brett, man, when you do something, you want to do it right. And
right.
And we actually sounded damn good, man. We played some good songs and good music, but at the same time, it kind of turned into a job for us all. Like consistently making band practice. It becomes a responsibility. So I think that it became tough at one point. We were all like, man, we all got jobs and we still got training and we got all this, and it kind of fell apart with Andrew leaving and stuff, but. Mr. Sanchez, let's do it. Let's get a little reunion going. I'll back you up on rhythm just like I always did, because I cannot shred like that guy. That dude can shred. And we got Mr. Ott on bass. We got Celeste on the keys, and we got Lance Benoist on drums. Charlie Wilson on backup vocals. It was a good time, man. It was a good time.
I mean, has there arguably been a toughest band ever assembled between Lance Benoist at drums, UFC, winner, Andrew Sanchez on lead guitar. You yourself at the time was arguably the best lightweight in Missouri, if not one of the best in the Midwest.
That's a tough band, dude.
That is a tough band.
And you yourself, you're on your way to your blue belt. You don't have, did you get your blue belt yet?
I did.
Okay, you just got it, didn't you?
Right, it's still fresh.
Well, congrats to you getting your blue belt, Brad. So that only makes it tougher, dude.
Right.
So I'd say we are probably the toughest band to possibly ever live.
Ever exist.
That's a big deal, man.
Now, man, right after the fight was announced, you went on a fan-sided podcast, and Zach Freeman, he articulate and then normally kind of even keel, but on that podcast you kind of tore into Pico a little bit, talking about having the right people behind him and opportunities his whole life and everything, and kind of went on for more of that, even talking into fighter pay. Did they catch you on a grumpy day, or did you just started kind of shedding?
I just feel like now is my opportunity to tell the truth, and people need to know this stuff, my hat's off to Aaron. He's born with a silver spoon, but yet he's gotten to where he is by hard work, But it's things like his video, like they don't talk about me. They don't recognize me. He's talking about his next fight. That dude is tripping. He is smoking crack because he's got to get through me first, and for him to not even recognize me, it's definitely pushed me to want to make him pay for that. But like in this video, he talked about how, my parents will be late to work to get me to practice. 20 years old, why can't you drive yourself to work? Like I drive myself to work. So it must be nice to have like all this help around you, but I know that I don't have, I have all my support, but I just feel like he's kind of a spoiled brat, man.
Yeah. And also too, I think like I said, you kind of chimed in on the fighter pay issue, and that which seems to be more and more of a topic.
Well, I got mad, man, after I saw how much it was costing me to actually do this fight. I wasn't gonna make any money, and I sent kind of a nasty text to Bellator, email. I said, this is bull crap. I was like, I really wish I would have renegotiated my contract, But it is what it is, man. Beggars can't be choosers. I'm a nobody, I'm the underdog brought in to lose against Aaron. So all I can do is embrace this opportunity and turn it around and make it a win and become a name and, be presentable to where they want to use me again as an asset to the company. They're like, hey, this is a good guy. We like how he represents himself. I'm not talking bad about Bellator or UFC. I'm just in general the fight game.
Yeah,
we are underpaid athletes, man. This is the toughest sport in the world. It requires the most conditioning, the most training. We just don't get paid, man. Why are these NFL kickers making $300,000 a year, and I have to work a full-time job? It's sad, dude. And the thing is no one's doing shit about it. No one's doing anything to fix it. We had a little kickoff with Cowboy and George St. Pierre and TJ Dillashaw.
That group's been mum ever since. Nothing.
Been mum, dude. They haven't done shit. They almost used it for their own sake. So, and I think Cowboy is a good guy. I think he really does want the best, but at the same time, he's looking out for his own career. And I guarantee somebody called him from the UFC and said, "You do that again, you're in trouble." That's to me, every athletic sport that's professional has a union. We need someone out there looking out for us. Making 10,000. It's like, it's money in my pocket, but at the same time, the amount of money I spend to train and to diet right and to just do everything to get to Madison Square Garden, it's expensive. It's very expensive. So, I like to say, fighters don't fight for money. We fight for self-fulfillment and for glory. So yeah. That's what matters at the end of the day.
So, what are you expecting from Pico, and are you looking forward to sizing him up a little bit on fight week? And
definitely. I want to stand up to him, and he's going to see my size, and he's going to think, well, I should have gone to 145. I'm going to get in his face, and I'm going to be a little out of my, MO. My normal. The way people know me is very respectful and very, calm. I'm going to be a little meaner. I'm gonna make this guy pay. I've trained too hard to just go in there and be nice. I'm not going to be Conor McGregor. You can assure that. There's only one of those guys, and I hate how everyone's trying to be like him. Be yourself. That's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be myself.
And speaking of this fight coming up, you've got a T-shirt, I believe you have coming up that you're going to be selling. It's got is it going to be your walkout shirt, or just it's kind of similar to what you'll be wearing and that you'll be selling up at the gym at St. Charles MMA, I believe.
Yep, and I only made 50, so get them while they're hot. I actually, I think we spent $19 a shirt, so I'm selling them for $25. I'm not doing it to make any money, but I chose the highest quality material, and I did some extra logos. so it costs some more money. The reason I did the shirts is honestly it's to the people sponsoring me. I hope they're not asking for free shirts because I only bought 50 of them. So, I don't know. I'll see what we'll do here, but at the end of the day, it's to get their name out there and say thank you to their business. That's what's important to me. And two things. I'm hoping that I release in the cage a product that I have been working on. It's been designed and engineered by myself. And Square Fruit Labs, who is a sponsor of mine, they are developing the product for me and 3D printing it. And I am going to use it in between rounds. And it is going to be hygienic, and it's going to be something that every fighter should have, especially if you want your girlfriend to kiss you. And I'm really excited. I hope this can turn into something that actually is sanctioned for use in all organizations.
So wait, so you've got a new MMA product that you've designed and helped launch. Are you going to try to debut it at this Bellator fight? I mean, do you have to get it cleared, or?
I'm going to debut it.
Okay.
So here's what I'm missing. I am missing a website. So anyone that wants to offer me to build me a website for this, hit me up, private message me. We'll figure something out. I'll figure out how I can help you out. But I need to get this done immediately. So somebody message me. Let me know if you can help me.
Yeah, you need to have that website ready for the fight. Because if people see it on fight night, they're gonna want to check it out.
I agree.
It's like the whole Shark Tank thing. You gotta be prepared.
I do, and I've just been so busy that it's been very difficult. So I procrastinated a little bit on things, and it's a lot of work doing sponsors, man. Huge thank you to Matt Frazier. He helped me out big time. I owe him an Apple Watch. He did a beautiful job on designing my shirt, my banner, and my shorts. And so I made sure to sponsor Knuckle Junkies on all my stuff. So thank you guys.
Well, man, we're going to kind of round third and head home here. I know you got some running to do, so I don't want to keep you from that. But so Cole Freeman, your brother, is some kind of motorcycle Evel Knievel. What? Tell us what's Cole do?
My brother he's an extreme entertainer. He's also a stuntman, and you can catch him on. Remind me of the gentleman who's Darrow on The Walking Dead. Do we know his name?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure somebody does out there. If we still have anybody still watching, anybody still hanging on.
Yeah, but he has a television show on, I believe, A&E or Discovery or something, and he'll be featured on that this month. So look for him on TV. And then he's doing a ride along and doing some tricks and stuff. But then, so I can't remember his name, but he travels the country doing different spectacles, different features on motorcycles. And my brother will be featured in that. But essentially what my brother does is he set a Guinness World Record for jumping the heaviest and largest motorcycle the longest distance. So he jumped, I think, 6 trucks with his Harley. So he pretty much travels around with ramps set up, and he goes to different dealerships, Harley-Davidson dealerships, and he performs stunt shows. And the guy is amazing, man. He's absolutely amazing. So he's trying to set up right now a really big stunt that'll put him on the map, make him famous. And let's just say Evel Knievel failed at it, and my brother is looking to go do it. I'm just going to say it's in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And he's looking to set this up. Yeah, he's looking to set this up and get this done. So I hope my brother has worked so hard. So I pray that he's blessed with this opportunity, man. He's an awesome guy. And
how old is he?
So my brother's 31 now, and he's got some really good people in his circle. There's a famous rapper named Yellow Wolf who's signed by Eminem. He's a good friend of Cole's, and he's been hooking him up with some good people. In his most recent video called Outer Space, which is an awesome song, I thought about walking out to it, but I got to stick with what I do. I got to stick with my song. Cole's actually featured in the video and stuff. So
oh, cool.
This guy's getting millions and millions and millions of views and hits. So Cole's circling himself around some good people. Discovery offered Cole money for a show, but my brother said, he held out. It wasn't enough money, and they wanted the rights to all his company and everything he's worked for I think $25,000 a show. And my brother knows he's worth more than that, so he held out.
Good for him.
I hope it happens for him. He's worked very hard. And then my sister, she's releasing that 21-day metabolic makeover. She lives in Chula Vista, California, in Orange County. She's been working with some really big people, and I hope she makes it big and gets her own nutrition show or something. We're all working on big things. And then my older brother, he runs a very successful company, and he kind of got me the start in the furniture world and business. So thank you to him and his wife Nan for helping me out. And they're getting ready to start a best practice network and essentially a franchise of furniture installation that essentially anyone can buy into. So the furnitureinstalllers.com, you can find more information on that. But I would like, if I could, to give a shout out to all my sponsors. My primary sponsor for this fight is two people. It's Autoplex Extended Services. They do extended life car warranties. So thank you so much to my guy. I really appreciate your support. Keith Hornicky, I really appreciate you, man. You really helped me out. He's actually even going up to New York City to watch the fight. What's funny is he had a business meeting the week of my fight.
Right.
Found out I'm fighting there, offered a sponsorship to me, and then he's going to the fight. So it's really cool.
That's
and
awesome.
Then my next primary sponsor was Show Me Credit Solutions. Thanks to Justin Green. He's a good guy. Used to train with him. He's actually run a successful company. He's been the best debt release service in Wentzville the last 2 years. So huge thank to Show Me Credit Solutions. And real quick, 212 Nightclub in St. Charles, the Angry Beaver down in St. Louis. If you want to go to the ball game and you want to catch a quick beer and a 99-cent burger, go to the Angry Beaver. It's a great burger, and you're going to get a lot better deal than you will at the ball game. Then St. Charles MMA, of course. Thank you to Mike Rogers, Jeff Henry. Thank you to Tony's Hot Peppers. Big Tony, thank you for your sponsorship. I hope to get your name out there, and I hear you're releasing some new branding and new products, so I look forward to that. Also to Youngie and Associates. If your business ever needs any sales consultation, if you just need help kind of getting to that next level, Debbie Youngie can help you do that. She's helped several companies grow their sales exponentially, so thank you to her. Also, real quick, thank you to Mars Living Walls. That's the product I represent out of Holland. So I even have a sponsor out of Holland. I'm getting a check from them. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm getting global, man. So thanks to Mars Living Walls. Thank you to Cove Logistics out of Springfield. So any logistics needs, any shipping needs, They're going to help you. Cove Logistics again. GPO for Business. GPO for Biz short. They're essentially a cooperative purchasing business that, you know, if you're a business, you can go to them and get special discounts and purchases for your company. Also, thanks to my sister, the Nutrition Vixen. Look her up for any of her recipes. She does a great job. Thank you to John Duver at Vinyl Images. He's making all my shorts and my banner. He's been a lifelong friend. He's a very successful man, and I actually wrestled with him back in the day at Bonham Wrestling. So shout out to John and Joe. I love you guys. Also, thank you to Working Spaces, my company, Nancy Apel and Marcy Hanlon. I have the two best bosses in the world. I actually asked their permission before I took the fight, and they supported me from day one with my career, as well as my fighting career. So thank you to both of you ladies. You're wonderful. Also, thank you to Trials MMA for helping me out while I've been in Colorado. You guys have been great. You're like a second team. I appreciate you guys. I look forward to seeing you Thursday. Also, big thanks to my brother, Ill Conduct. I'm proud of you. Thank you for not jumping the day of my fight. I would have been a nervous wreck. So he's going to corner me instead. Also, big thanks to Knuckle Junkies. You know, for any of your fight news, up to date, anything you need that's MMA related, combat related, Brett Ott and Matt Frazier, those guys got you. You guys have grown a successful company. I hope it only gets bigger. Then also big thanks to Square Fruit Labs. They essentially do 3D printing and robotic automation. This guy, Chico, he can make you anything you think of. It's pretty amazing. So thank you to Chico Weber. Also, Pollock Manufacturing. If you ever have a need to have a hat made, this guy makes the highest quality hats you can get. So look for their hats while I'm walking out. So again, thanks to Michael Pollock and Pollock Manufacturing. Also, thanks to Zach Costello Fitness. Zach Costello, he's been a great supporter of mine. He's got the best attitude ever. If you are looking to get in shape and you just need somewhere to start, please reach out to Zach Costello. This guy is a stand-up individual, and he knows how to push you without pissing you off. He's just the nicest guy in the world. So thank you, Zach. I appreciate you. Also, thank you to the Faust family. They reached out to me. Lucas trains with St. Charles MMA, and he said, hey, my mom wants to sponsor you. So thank you to you guys. You know, it means a lot. So that's about it, and I appreciate you letting me. Actually, I'm missing one, Decent Contracting and Installations. My brother owns this company. He travels the country essentially doing hospitality installation as well as furniture installation. So if you buy like a piece of furniture that you know you do not know how to install, call my brother, Decent Contracting. He will get it installed for you. Also, if you have a construction need, if you're a contractor and you're looking to have certain furnishings installed, they're the company to do it. So that's it.
Does that cover it?
Covers it.
All right, man. Well, Zach, hey, thank you for taking the time. Let's end things on this. It looks like they've got a date in August. Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, farce fight event. You looking forward to it? You got a prediction? What do you think about the whole McGregor Mayweather thing? Looks like it's going to happen in August.
Man, I don't know what to think. I think Conor's still young and he's fired up, and no one believes in Conor more than Conor. So that's big. But at the end of the day, Mayweather, he's one of the best at boxing, and he's kind of stepping into his grounds. It's his first boxing match professionally. I think Mayweather is going to go for the knockout, man, and I think Mayweather takes that fight, no doubt.
Right on. Well, Zach, everybody here in St. Louis and the St. Louis MMA scene is going to be rooting for you come June 24th in New York City. Thanks again for taking the time, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, and thanks to the viewers out there. Share the video if you can. Help me get some promotion out there. And again, thanks to Knuckle Junkies. You guys have always been huge supporters of mine. Also, shout out to Jim Jenkins. You know, I wouldn't be where I am without, you know, Start and MMA. You kind of helped get me out there, so I appreciate you. You know, I appreciate you and the work you did to kind of help get me started.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys, and we'll be seeing you on the flip side.
All right, man. June 24th, I'm going to shock the world.
knucklejunkies.com